What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be reacting to the worst crash of every F1 driver from the 2024 grid. I'm looking forward to getting into this because I do love a little crash compilation, especially with like the 2024 grid. I don't know, especially with like the older drivers, I might not have been watching when they had their worst crash, potentially, because I started watching in like 2017. So people like Alonso and Hamilton might have had their worst crash before then, especially as like the Halo only came in 2017. Their worst crashes are probably before then, which I haven't seen. So I'm looking forward to getting into the video, as one of you have requested it. So I'm just going to shut up and we'll get straight into it.
From this heart-stopping crash
big crash on board.
Oh,
this one.
Is that was that Strolls?
Every F1 driver has faced their worst
In
nightmare
qualifying,
on
I do remember
track
that.
in some way or another. Let's take a look at the worst crashes from each one.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
Kicking things off with the newest driver on the grid, Franco Colapinto. After a year and a half of this,
You okay? You okay? No, I crashed. I don't know what happened, man. I'm in the wall.
Logan Sargent running into the back of the Alpha Tauri.
Oh, it's not looking good.
Williams, to everyone's relief, finally ditched Sargent after the 2024 Dutch GP and brought in the Argentine, who had proven to be very fast in the lower leagues. And what can I say? Colapinto bagged his first points in only his second
he did really
race
well.
in Baku, making
I really hope he
Sargent
gets a
look
seat
like
soon.
a total clown and showing he's
'Cause he
just not cut out
deserves
for
it.
F1. Sorry, my Americans. But of course, like any rookie, Colapinto has already made some mistakes. During practice in Baku, he made this error.
Commentators curse.
Oh, wait, I remember this.
Colapinto.
No.
He's hit the barrier, exited turn 4.
I think we can all agree that's just a simple rookie mistake. And
Yeah.
well, I'm pretty sure Williams prefers that over this.
No.
Not gonna lie, I'm surprised they didn't fire him sooner. And before we dive into the more serious crashes, a driver who hasn't had a single big crash is Piastri. Of course, he only started F1
Yeah,
in
that's true,
2023,
actually.
but the Aussie has been super clean and
I was just trying to
consistent,
think if I've
barely
seen him in a
making
crash.
any mistakes. I've been
I don't
digging
remember.
around for a while, and the worst crash I found for him was in the second practice run of the 2023 Dutch GP, where this happened.
Oh.
3.
And then that was when Ricardo got there, and then he broke his wrist.
Honestly,
remember
I
that.
think that'd be the cutest crash for any other driver on the grid. In fact,
Yeah.
Danny Rick did
Yep,
the
there you
same
go.
just seconds later, but with much more severe consequences. At first, it looked like a pretty silly mistake, just like Piastri's, but the Aussie broke his wrist on impact, with a sudden jerk of the steering wheel forcing him to miss a bunch of races that season. But to be
Yeah.
fair, like Piastri, Ricardo wasn't a driver who crashed much. Still, one crash he won't forget was during the second practice of Monaco 20.
Why do you have to bring that up? I don't want to watch it.
To win on the streets of
Now
the
I'm turning it off.
Principality, like he did in 2018.
Today in Monte Carlo, it's redemption day for Daniel Ricciardo. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
But he also knows what its walls taste like.
He picked up a bit of understeer in turn 13.
He lost the rear.
Ouch, that had to hurt. And yeah, I know Ricciardo's not on the grid anymore, but I just can't forget about
Don't
him.
remind
His
me.
replacement, just like in 2023, is Liam Lawson, who showed he had some serious pace in the races the Aussie missed.
Wow, this is weaving in quite nicely. Like the
He had a
transitions
rough
to each
debut
driver.
with the weather at the Dutch
Sorry,
GP,
just
and
random
unfortunately
bit
messed
there.
up on the third practice.
Lawson in his first session has brought
Oh.
out the yellow flag.
But honestly, that was nothing considering how tricky the track conditions were. Just like Danny, Checo also bumped into Monaco's wall in his rookie season back in 2011.
So is it true that you're the Mexican Minister of Defense?
That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really?
But it turned out much worse. The Mexican kicked off his career with Sauber and snagged
2011.
his first points in the 5th round in Barcelona, picking up speed and getting better with each race. Everyone agreed he was a very promising driver already, but when it came to Monaco, he completely lost control coming out of the tunnel.
Oh!
That was scary. The
Yeah,
worst
that was
part,
heavy
Checo didn't
impact.
get out of the car on his own. The medics had to
He
rush in
didn't.
and pull him out. They took him to the hospital in an ambulance. Thankfully, it was confirmed just an hour and 25 minutes later that he was all right. Just a bruise on the cut
Oh
on
my
his
God.
thigh. No broken bones.
looked
Considering
really
just
bad.
how bad that crash was, I think we can all agree that was lucky as Checo later said he was unconscious for a few minutes.
I got chills
and had
everywhere.
Some blank spots in his memory. He only remembers the crash and then waking up in the hospital. Obviously, he didn't drive the next day, yet still made his comeback just 2 weeks later in Canada. Maybe a bit too early, however, as he still felt kind of dizzy on Friday, so he had to bail on the GP last minute. Another crash that pushed both human and machine to their absolute limits.
Oh, is this 2015 in Russia?
Sainz in 2015 during FP3.
I do know about this one.
For Toro Rosso in his first ever F1 season. He had just scored 3 points in the last
I've
2
seen a
races,
clip
by
of
the
it.
way, so confidence and
I had a
momentum
feeling this would be
were
his
high.
worst
It was only
crash.
35 minutes into the run.
Oh my god, and he just keeps going straight into the barrier.
An impact at a massive 46 Gs, with the car completely buried in the barriers. The medical team quickly rushed to take
I had seen a clip of this on TikTok and I was like, what? And so I had to look it up, so I do know about this one.
Down. Miraculously, he just had a bit of a sore neck and back. He missed qualifying, but managed to race the next day.
That's
What a G.
incredible.
When it comes to high G-force crashes, I gotta mention Verstappen at Silverstone in 2021.
Oh, you can't miss that one.
It's starting to feel like I talk about this incident every vid. But what a crash. From the intense rivalry, controversy, and over 51 Gs, Max was on pole, and Hamilton, Peter,
And people still don't stop talking about it, so...
And it's lights out and away we go.
Until this moment.
Oh my god. That impact.
Lewis Hamilton.
Look at that.
Coming together. Hamilton continues on. Charles Leclerc now leads.
Can't imagine what it was like sitting there where he crashed.
God, a 51G hit sideways impact into the barrier. Honestly, I don't even know how Max got out of the car by himself. They instantly took him to the hospital for a complete checkup, and thankfully, he was fine. But the impact was insane. Hamilton got slapped with a 10-second penalty, but of course...
Hamilton has picked up the reins since the restart. He's chased down the prancing horse. He chases the checkered flag. He wins the British Grand Prix.
Man, that season was something else. And as I'm seeing the comments a mile away, Team LH or diehard Max fans, I'm just showing the crash. So relax with the insults. And as soon as the lights went out, none other than the GOAT, yep, him, overtook Zhou and Russell. While Gasly had a good start too. But then, Gasly
Oh wait,
got
I was
stuck
sat in the
between
crowd
Zhou
during
and
this
Russell,
crash.
leading to this.
Yeah, most terrifying crash I've ever seen. And the fact that I saw that live, like I was sat in the grandstand and I was like, maybe I'll have to make a story time on that video, because honestly, we sat, so I went with my sister and we were sat, like, I don't know if you'll know, but we were sat on like the old pit straight, so where like the old pit lane was, so it was like halfway around the track. So obviously the cars hadn't made it round the track because the crash was into turn one, so we were watching it on the screen, and I have a video on my phone of me like filming the screen when the lights went out and then like the crash and everything, and then like the video just ends.
And there's another car that is badly damaged as well, so we're going to have a safety car, I would imagine. Yellow flags, Chris, you've got the leaders. In fact, it's a red flag straight away. Race stop, red flag, and it's...
We didn't know what was going on because, you know, when you go to a racetrack, I don't know if you've ever been to a racetrack, but when you go to a racetrack, they don't have like the commentators talking like when you watch the broadcast on the TV and they're constantly talking. You don't have that at a racetrack. So when the crash happened, we didn't get any information, and we were trying to ask people at home because we had a few other friends that were watching F1 on the TV, and we were asking them like, what are they saying? We sat there for a whole hour under a red flag in this grandstand, having no idea what was going on. When the race would start back, it was like the most terrifying thing ever. Like they weren't saying anything about Joe's condition, and we were just watching the ambulances go around the track. They even passed us at one point and we were like, shit, this looks really bad, and we had no idea what was going on. So maybe I'll have to make a little story time on how that weekend went because it was in like 2022, so I obviously wasn't doing my YouTube channel then, so I don't have any like vlog content that I can give you, but I have a few videos from that weekend, so let me know if you want a story time on that, because it's quite good.
It will look bad. It looked bad. What the hell? What the hell happened?
Holy shit. Imagine this crash a couple of decades ago. Zero chance of survival. Joe was stuck upside down and couldn't get out.
And he was stuck in between the barriers.
I just see this car just barrel rolling towards the barriers, well over 100 miles an hour. I was just thinking about Joe.
While the medics arrived, they quickly got him out and took him to the
big
hospital,
up George
where,
for that.
Thankfully,
we're watching him on the screen
Joe
like,
was
oh my god, see it
completely
again.
okay physically. When you see a car upside down, you're holding your breath. But when the upside down car catches fire, honestly, this one is a tough one. We're in Abu Dhabi.
I think I remember this one.
Away we go, and it's active with some top speed down there.
Oh yeah. I saw the flip, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
And out of this race.
Just a little bump at low speed, and boom. And then really hit the fan. And Hulkenberg gave us one of the best radio calls ever.
I'm hanging here like a cow. Yeah, there's fire.
Yep.
There's fire.
It's alright, they're coming. They're coming.
Thankfully, he walked away, completely
look at that.
unharmed.
Wow.
It's in these moments where I'm so fucking glad for all the safety improvements we've gone through. Now time to go to Australia. Melbourne 2024. Russell is 7th on the very last lap. Right
Oh, this is when he's shouting red flag because he's in the middle, isn't it? Yeah.
Stuck there in the middle of the track, praying no one crashes into him at 200 miles per hour. And since he knew that no one but Mr. Strulovic was right behind him, he completely freaked out.
Red flag, red flag,
Yeah.
red flag. I'm in the middle of a track.
Okay.
Red flag, red flag.
Red flag, you got Stroll.
Red, 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 red.
I remember seeing that
Red.
on Twitter for like weeks.
Thankfully, and I don't even know how, neither Stroll nor anyone else hit him. And
Yeah,
guess
that is
what?
crazy.
They ended up penalising Alonso. Yeah, you heard that right, with 20 seconds for potentially dangerous driving.
Wow.
He supposedly braked too early, causing Russell's crash. No words on that. But that wasn't Russell's only major accident. During the 2021 Emilia-Romagna GP, he had a massive one with Bottas,
yeah.
a guy we can probably all agree is one of the cleanest drivers out there. That race kicked off under the rain, and let me tell you, it was total chaos.
There's the Ferrari at Aqua Minerale of Charles Leclerc. And Aqua
They were just
Minerale, and that's a spinning Williams of Nicholas
aquaplaning
Latifi.
everywhere.
Latifi in the Williams, and he is out.
On lap 32, Russell, somehow in P10 with that crappy Williams, tried to pass Bottas.
Whoa. I remember watching that. I was like, how did that even happen?
Honestly, I have no idea whose fault it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just another racing incident.
Incident.
But those two wouldn't stop throwing insults at each other.
What the was he doing? Honestly, is he a or what?
What a
No, he went there.
okay, long term.
But by far Bottas's biggest crash ever. And for just
God.
good old time's sake, here's how Kimi reacted to that crash.
I got sprayed with all kind of.
I was going to say, so
17
much
years of
debris
F1,
everywhere.
Kimi saw all kinds of crashes, and same can go for Lewis. But since his debut in 2007, he's pretty much seen it all. But in my opinion, his worst one happened in his rookie season during a flying lap in Q3 at the
2007.
Nürburgring. The Brit was going all
I
out
was 3.
when, coming up to turn 8, his front right tyre casually blew up at 175 miles per hour.
Oh, yikes.
Wow, just
Bloody
brutal.
hell.
I think that was the day he really figured out just how dangerous
Oh,
F1 could
yeah,
be.
the fact
If you're
that the back of
wondering
his
what
car
he's
went
doing with
up
his
as
legs,
well.
he was moving them so fast to check if he had broken them. The medics quickly arrived and took him to the hospital.
And that was
Within
without the
2
safety
hours, he was
precautions
back in the
that we have
paddock,
as
ready
well.
to race the next day. Insane. Much like Kimi and Hamilton, Alonso's another OG who's pretty much
Here we go.
seen it all. He's got the most race starts in history and has had some pretty horrible crashes. It was quite hard to pick just one, but I think you'll agree it had to be Interlagos
2003, yeah, he
That
wasn't even
weekend
alive
was
then.
Historic. The hands device had just become mandatory, and it was like fate wanted to test it out. It was raining non-stop
Great.
on Sunday. Pretty much every driver on the grid was making mistake after mistake.
Oh, Coulthard getting a big slide.
One of them was Mark Webber, who on lap 54 had a massive crash going up towards the finish line. He first slammed
Front of his
into the
car
wall
is
on
gone.
the right side of the track, and then spun across to the other,
Oh
leaving a bunch
my.
of debris and pieces from his Jaguar spread across the track. Every driver attempted to dodge them, but Alonso Alonso, who came by shortly after, couldn't avoid them.
Pass right and
Oh!
And slammed right into one of his tyres at about
wow, a
170
little bit like that
miles per
caused
hour.
that
Multiple
much.
nasty hits and 60 G's. 60. Obviously, he could barely get out of the car by himself. I always wonder how they find the strength to get out after such a brutal crash. That's gotta leave you totally crushed. Alonso was rushed to the hospital, and the Spaniard himself confirmed he was kinda good from the stretcher. If it weren't for the hands device, he probably wouldn't be alive today. With only a few drivers left on track,
I didn't
they
know
called
that
the
about
race
Alonso.
using the results from the lap before. And Alonso even ended up on the podium, but of course, he couldn't show up, leading to this strange image. From hands to halo, these security implementations always got hate at first, but aren't we glad they're in place now? Leclerc's crash in 2018
I was going to say, is this going to be Charles' crash?
Their minds on the halo.
I just had a feeling it's going to come.
At Spa, but
because if he didn't have the halo here, he'd be gone.
Insane. Alonso's car went right over him. Thank God for the halo. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened otherwise. And you know whose fault it was?
Hülkenberg.
To see is Hülkenberg get too deep on the brakes.
He had zero plans to hit the brakes at the first corner.
Oh.
It's always prime time for crashes, but now imagine this, a one-lap race. Yeah, you heard that right. This was exactly what the FIA cooked up for the 2023 Australian GP, where a last-minute red flag meant they forced a standing restart with just one lap to go.
I do
and let me
remember
tell
that.
you, that was a pretty stupid idea. With all drivers having just one lap, everyone would be going all out. No holding back from no one. The perfect recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Look at that. The most action we had in 2023. The Alpines, I was going to say the Alpines went at each other.
In all that chaos, the Alpine drivers, doing Alpine things of course, took each other out, with Ocon running into Gasly. I think that was definitely Gasly's biggest crash, as he doesn't really crash that often, but Ocon crashing into his teammates is just another day at the office for him.
I was gonna say,
his crash couldn't have been with anyone other than his ex-teammate and forever rival, Alonso. Let's go back to Brazil, 2023 this time. While Alonso was on an outlap and moved off the racing line to let the Frenchman pass, Ocon...
Whoa!
What's going on there?
Well, I don't even know what the hell Ocon was trying to do. And well, it looks like he just lost the rear. But what
I
about
forgot
his
about
radio?
that.
Idiot, Fernando.
Excuse me? But to be fair, Ocon hasn't crashed even half as much as the next driver. This man is a pure professional. His crown came during qualifying for the 2023
I was going to say this one.
GP.
I mentioned it at the beginning.
Every safety feature in modern F1 to the test. From
it was right in the middle, like half his car had disappeared.
Big crash on board with Lance Stroll. He was trying to wring the neck of the speed there.
The sight of that
Look
Aston
at that.
completely wrecked in the middle of the track just gave me chills.
Wonder how much that
but
cost to
thankfully,
repair that.
Stroll walked away by himself. Almost reminds me of Albon's Toro Rosso during the FP3 in the 2019 Chinese GP. Running a tad bit wide in the last corner and losing control. Thankfully, he was fine, but his mechanics didn't have enough time to fix the car for qualifying, so he had to start from the back the next day. So from Albon to Tsunoda, we're gonna see another loss of control.
Whoa.
Nothing too dramatic, but a man who had a truly terrifying crash is this guy. Out of all his
Kevin
crashes,
Magnussen.
the biggest one happened at a crazy speed at the top of Eau Rouge.
Oh, and there's someone gone into the tyre barrier on the exit of Radion.
What's that? Oh my god, look at full speed.
Renault of Kevin Magnussen. That's a really, really big impact there.
The impact was so big, his headset flew off right away. Amazingly, after that, Magnussen got out like it was nothing. With that much speed, at that particular part of Spa, it's so easy to lose control. And he's not the only one. In 2021, Norris had a similar crash while trying to nail a good time in
when it was
qualifying.
raining.
That session was plagued by heavy rain, as always.
And they were all saying to red flag it, and they didn't, and then
McLaren at Eau Rouge.
Lando lost it.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. That's Lando Norris.
Because I remember even Vettel drove past and asked him if he was okay.
It's wild to see how many times he span around before finally hitting the barrier on the other side and coming to a stop. But that's what mostly cushioned the second impact. With the car completely wrecked, we were all bracing for the worst. And Seb, who happened to be passing by, stopped to make sure Lando was okay.
What the f did I say? What did I say? Red flag. Me. unnecessary. Is he okay?
Thankfully, he climbed out the car quite quickly. Honestly, we chat a lot of but the safety in F1 these days is truly impressive. We've just looked at some of the most insane crashes of all time, yet in most, the drivers got out of the car and walked away like it was nothing.
Well, that was nuts. I do remember some of those, and but like the earlier ones, I obviously wasn't watching then, so I didn't know. I had a feeling that Alonso, Hamilton, like those kind of drivers would have their crashes like early on in their career, like their worst crashes. So I didn't know about, especially the Alonso one, I didn't know about that. But I really enjoyed that video. So thank you to the people who requested this video. And with that being said, if you have any other videos that you'd like me to react to, drop them in the comments and work my way through everybody's suggestions at the moment. If you did want to check out any of my other socials or become a Patreon member and get early access to videos like this or talk prior to your video suggestions, then you can do all of that down below. But I hope you enjoyed today's reaction, and I will catch you next time for the next one. Bye.